Welcome to Type Flex. This is Type Flex podcast. This is going to be my intro, my first week of chiropractic school. I'll go over everything I learned. Spinal anatomy, intro to chiro, physiology, spinal anatomy lab, histology. Week 1. So the body's made up of intro, towards or front, interior, distal, farther from the axis of the body. We have vertebrous bones, connected bones with dents that don't move. We have plank joints. We have kinetic skin, KS, I call it for. It's like the waterproof. We got the neck is filled C5 all the way to C7. And we have structural classes, fibrous joints, strong joints in the knee, involving 2 levels by ligaments, called knee joints and cavities. Derosis joints, side when synovial fluids of 2 bones are in a joint, united bones, and move very much in between. So when a baby passes through, his head has fibrous joints. That means that the baby's head has joints that the skull is naturally supposed to be strong as an adult, but as for a kid, the kid's head is always constantly moving because they come out with cone head. Sometimes the head is too big, that's why the mother has a C-section. So these fibrous joints make the baby head come out like a cone head sometimes. So that's what the capitalist unites the bones that don't move very much. So during pregnancy, a woman's is open a little bit more than it is. So there are plane joints and hinge joints and capsules. So you got signical joints are needed for ATP. The skull columns, that's what we call the back of the spinal cord, the skull columns. The disc inside is a fibrous joint, or it's kind of like it has, like when somebody says they have a herniated disc, it just means that their disc inside between their joints have shrunk to a point that those 2 things are hitting each other and causing pain. So when somebody has a surgery or they go into surgery, they cut out the tissue and then they put in little holes and screws and then put something in between so it can hold it, screw it down, and then they cover it. So that is the surgical method for somebody who doesn't have a herniated disc, who has a herniated disc. So the cavity it creates from the spine. So if your spine is full of things that you actually need in TPS slides, ATP is energy, and HTP is the one that transfers from the neural to the brain. And when you move more, you will get hurt. That's one thing I learned. So you gotta understand that as you age, that's why people age and sometimes they lose inches, is because of this inside their column, spinal column has shrunk, and it's called intervertebral disc. These discs, when they shrink, they go bone to bone. Okay, so that's also another thing. We have the humerus joints connected to the gluteal cavity. The gluteal cavity is in the shoulder, so that is the connective tissue that connects the spinal cord from the back, that connects the humerus all the way down to the ANUS WLS, so that, and then you have that other side of it. So these things are consist of, and then you also have the protection of the spinal correction, and your disc get shorter with liquid. So think of it like a jelly donut, and meaning one collagen nucleus, and then inside of that internal disc is a nucleus that has an anus fibrous joint that prevents absorbent shock. So that boom feeling, that's what it is. It just absorbs the shock, kind of like a car. When you roll in, and then you got that bounce in the whip bouncing like that, boom, boom, the whip bouncing. So that means you kind of think of it like that bouncing thing, and you got in the whip. So like you got the cavity, you got the neck, you got the lower outside wings, and you got the back, you got the medical, you got things called the NCTLS C. So C1, C1, N1, T1, L1, S1, C1. So you got those. They consist of certain things. You got the back. You got so you have the brachialis here coming from the forearm, and then you have it attached to the thoracic ula. So that's in the middle of the bicep, that creates the bicep. You have the hand, the back of the hand, so you have the scapuloid, the ulated, the trace, the PISO, the trapezoid, the capitol, and the hammer. The hanging of the ligaments on the hand is from the urinal, so is this side we're talking about. So then after that, we have the joints in the hand. So the hand joints, think of your hand. You have your hand, the first joints in your hand. You got this right here, the 14. 14 is a upper and lower sagittal nerve. So right there is that joint, and that's what joints your thumb, like this. Then you have the joints in your finger. You got the top of the finger, you got the middle of the finger, you got this, you got all of these joints that are connected to the wrist. Okay? Then after that, you have the blood vessels that are in the nervous root and the spinal function to protect neural elements, broken vertebrae, bones, and spapicles. So spinal nervous is exiting through the formula, the axis, the facts, the phalanges. The phalanges is the TFs and the TPs and the SPs are joined for the facial joints, C1, C2. So it's upper ligaments around here in your face. That's what it's talking about. As we keep going into that, we go into holes in the past. So we have facial joints, ligaments. We got inside the hole, we got the mixed verse, we got the meg and the end. So we got C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, and L3, L3, 5. These vertebrae are particularly and superior from facial joints, notion of interior borders and transmissional nerves that have 31 pairs and transmit from CNS to PNS. So basically the fluid that comes through down the spine, intervening form between 2 and the L of the law. So L2 and L3 if exited from L2 to the nerve. So we've got the back head, and then we have the bacteria that cover the collagen under the spinal fluid that is called a folate bag. So we got 3.4. Now we're getting into the intro to chiropractic. We have 3.9x to 104 to 4.6 to 6 point for the heat that contains the range from 0 to 100, meaning a flora. Flora is kind of like a bacteria. Bacteria loves heat. So we get into the notes for that. Get into the notes for this one. So when we think about intro to chiropractic, we got C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, C7. So these patients' position is PP, depends on the curvature of patients before, the during, and and after the adjustment. People attend to PP to patients. Patients placed in awkward positions are approximately unlikely to relax. So think about it, if you're going to sleep and you have a pillow under your neck, you need a pillow under your neck sometimes to activate sleep because you've been taught that from a young age. So that's what it means. So cardio gap of cardiac. So when your cardiac flows, it has gaps inside leading to the blood flowing out. So when the heart is relaxed, the TP to the heart. So that's what that means. Okay. Then we go on to the next notion of the bladder. So when you're thinking about the bladder, it has the 3 steps: the membrane that connects and absorbs and transfers through the bladder. You have the bladder that comes through. So it's called diamosis. It's a joint inside. So when you think about all of this stuff, you have to think about the membrane is permeable. So that means there's a top and a bottom, and there's 3 little dots. These large polar molecules transfer through cells. So water mixes with oil to better to get through it. So you understand what I'm saying. There's an in-between line between water and oil. It doesn't mix. It is not ATP. So this going like this isn't ATP because it is just gravity. So this is a form of ATP. So ATP is basically energy. Energy creates amino acid. Amino acid creates the stuff that, on and on and on and on. Like, you feel me? So then the membrane protein carries a blend of solitudes and transfer from across from the assumption of ATP and identifies as a marker. So when you're thinking about this, you have to think about it just like the water doesn't mix situation. There's a channel that lets things come in. So the channel goes in, takes the nutrients, go out, and it kind of like this, a rotation. So rotation is just passing it. Feel me? Yes, and that, let's get on to this one. It says energy expands by cells flowing the nucleus against the connective gratitude, low to high concentrated of simple and this using energy. Small, large, non-polar lipids, solids, and molecules passes to diffuse through plasma down the surface of the gratitude, simple diffuse temperature. So temperature up, temperature motion of particular molecules are larger and molecules move slower. So that's what it is. It's basically giving you an initial of side A and side B. Side B's molecules are transferring from side A to B, and then showing you the notion of how they are optimus pressure is giving them more. That's the things around it, those little bubbles. So we get into that, and then we move on to the next thing. Water, SOSM, solitude water capsule of red blood cells. So the hydrotonic solution causes cells to lose particular waters and isolate solutions that are no change in normal saline. So saline is the thing that usually makes a patient more like if they're dehydrated, O2-9 and NaCl. So that's what it basically is. So thinking about all of this, these are the lipid 2 fingers and lipid top. So the lipid doesn't like water and comes out, and it comes in through a channel that allows the nutrient, cholesterol, and all of these carbohydrates, the things that gives you energy. These are chemical based. All right. So then now we're going to go into the plantar fasciitis. So when you think about plantar fasciitis, it starts from the nerval ring, where there is an external helmet that extends from diversion, blood passing through it, and relaxation and tribal interiors, and all of these consumers, all of those things. Then we look at the general symptomatic effects, general facial effects, general semiotic effects, and general facial fallacies. So you gotta be on point. So when you're on point, you look on it, and you got a dorsal and gray horns in cars. Just think of a dorsal as in a car motor, and it just starts. It's the stuff that activates before you're happy. Somebody has to have a chemical balance that transfers. Just like kind of if you're horny, you see somebody who's, or you any of these hormonal things are associated with the start. method. So you have to first feel it, first to know it. So your senses, if you smell some good food, your senses then channel it to your brain and telling you that it smells or it smells good and I'm hungry, then activates your digestive system or makes your heart start pumping if you have some familiar with the type of smell around. So that's about it. So one thing I can tell you about week 1, and it was tough. Oh man, it was tough. Oh man, it wasn't easy, but in life, you gotta make things easy because in life you gotta be strong, you gotta be tough, you gotta be relentless. You can't let a hard time bring you down. You gotta stay motivated and stay courageous. So now, interning at a chiropractic place, and I'm learning the 3 bones. From my first session, 3 bones. Bones take 3 to 4 weeks to heal. Muscles, you don't even know how long with muscles. You have central points in your hand from power points from all the way from 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is usually the tips, and then it goes channeled down from here. And then these are methods of turning, methods of, those are the methods. And for the people who are in the VAs, it's a good way of getting some easy money. They pay for it, good with insurance. So, for one thing I would tell people, you gotta find your purpose in life. You gotta put things aside that don't mean nothing to you, and wake up and be a man. Sometimes it's hard to look yourself in the mirror because this enemy is usually me. Enemy. You look at enemy as me is my greatest enemy. Because I'm the one who controls my actions. I control my disciplines. So in this journey of life, be strong and courageous, but don't give up on yourself. There's a lot of people who's not gonna like you. There's a lot of people who's gonna be jealous of you. A lot of people who's gonna tell you not what you can be, so you have to be strong. And y'all young brothers and sisters, you have to continue to grow as people and put away things that, God said in Jeremiah 29, verse 11, 10 through 14. He says, I have thoughts of peace, not calamity towards you, hope and a future. So think about that the next time you make a decision, that God is not to blame for all of this. And I like to pray for everybody struggling in the world and keep a positive attitude. Namaste.